AI gives probably the next edge, the wing where it could fly. As an organization, I have given prerequisite that this is how my JD looks like, but these are my non-negotiable, which doesn't get published. Okay. Now, when candidate applies for it, the filtration is based on my non-negotiable. So if you look at the current work environment, everyone is looking at a pace. See, the new or the recent generation gets bored very quickly. Okay. So you have to have a dynamicity in your environment, in your office, in your culture. Right? So I'm okay with say 100% of adherence. I'm okay to have deviation of 20%, but the moment it reaches 130%, I need to take an action. Organizations are looking at hiring people, right? It is more about learning capability than having the skills.
Welcome to Value Matrix, where we decode the science and poetry of HR with the help of experts who live and breathe it every day. My name is Ajay Singh, and our expert of the day is Abhishek Jar, with close to 20 years of experience in the HR industry. He is currently the director of HR at TableSpace. So, Abhishek, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Ajay. Thanks for the warm welcome.
What piqued your interest in human resources? As I can see, you had taken up the subject in your MBA as well. So, what was that one thing that really interested you in the subject?
Okay, so there's a story or a history behind it. So I was not in the HR when I started my career. I was a part of the operations and dealing with day-to-day deliveries and other part, like
Okay.
a usual delivery staff. But somewhere I think I had a flair towards meeting people, knowing them, helping them, assisting them, and that's where the quotient of HR has evolved. And as things moved in up the ladder, I got moved from operation to HR in 2004, and that's where my journey of HR started.
So I was looking up your LinkedIn profile, and I saw that organizational development has been one of your core strengths and your key responsibilities as well. So, do you think that AI has helped you spot culture or performance issues early on before they become big problems?
I have, I would take it a little differently because, see, anyone who has joined the organization will leave some point or the other for sure. Okay. Now, as an HR, all you can do is you can extend that exit point to a larger extent, maybe a year or a two or a three or a four, depending upon how good the environment or culture you build in to the system. Okay. So, yes, when AI has come, now there are a lot of platforms which I have used in past where it could tell me the health of the organization, health of the team, and I can get minute level to health of the individual as well. So that's where AI has helped. Plus, if you look at the current work environment, everyone is looking at a pace. Everyone needs 3x, 4x, 10x delivery from every individual, being a multitasking and things. So it's a game of speed. And of course, in that, you have to have your learning hat on all the time, right? So, with that quotient, AI definitely makes a lot of sense for them, but it also builds a stressful environment all around, right? And the moment you tap that environment and you make it a little ease for all your resources, they will be able to perform better. So that is where AI is right now doing a good job, for me at least.
Segueing to leadership development, which is again one of your core strengths, uh, AI can now assess leadership skills in detail, right? With so
Yes.
many psychometrics and gamified assessments available. But can it really help build better leaders? Or is this of HR still very human led?
I would say combination of both. You can never eliminate the quotient of emotion and that human touch to the work environment, definitely. But AI gives probably the next edge, the wing where it could fly. Now, coming to your point specific as a leadership, so there is a strong shift between how the function used to work earlier versus now. Okay, earlier we used to have a vision led or designed or probably decided by probably the top leaders, and then everyone has to follow, and all the leaders has to abide by or probably align themselves with that vision which is being seen. And whether you have the capability or do not have the capability, so be it, but you have to be there. That was a approach. Now there is a strong shift now with all these analytics, with all these behavioral tests. You get to understand what your leader strong at, okay, and then you start to play with the strength of your leader, then setting someone up for the failure. So some, let's suppose I do not possess certain skill, I can hire that, but I need to know what those skills are. Earlier those avenues were not available, today we have, right? So the entire quotient has been shifted from playing with the core strength of the leader, then imposing that no, this, you are a leader so you should have. And I'm sure you would agree that most of the organization do not have any specific training plan for, say, manager or a supervisor or a leader who start to manage or lead the team, okay? So it is just a plain simple vanilla approach. You've been tenured, so you got a promotion and suddenly you have a team. Now, earlier we have not seen the Gen Z and Gen Alpha. Now we have, right? So that's where
Yeah.
it makes a lot of difference.
Speaking of Gen Zs, so you must have had some experience with this generation. So I would like to ask you, what has been that one differentiating factor between the Gen Zs and their predecessors? How are they different? In what ways they are different? And are they up to the AI challenge, according to you?
See, the new or the recent generation gets bored very quickly. Okay,
Yeah.
so you have to have a dynamicity in your environment, in your office, in your culture. And earlier, where we have seen, on an average, people used to be tenured for 5 years, 7 years. Now that tenure has a different definition altogether nowadays, right? So yes, there is a definitely a strong difference, but we also need to understand that we come from a different generation where the priority, the way of looking things were different. Now this generation is one is something which gives them a kick of their interest, okay? That's the kind of a thing. Anything which they do, it has to have a value add with the quotient of their interest. So if you are
Yeah.
able to generate that kind of an environment, the ball will be rolling. Else they will move out. Okay. And of course they love to showcase the quotient of reels and everything, and that's why it has evolved. So in specific, okay, my approach to deal with the current work setup is to have various platforms where people can showcase what they have done, okay? And that's where I'm sure even you, me, everyone else feels proud when we showcase that what we have done. So creating such kind of avenues, also having an avenues where it gets circulated if you are a pan India or a multi location facility, right? So then it gives me a kick when I see my photo published or running in, say, UK office or a US office with a note of whatever I have done. It gives me a kick, and that's what keep these younger generations live active. The
Yeah.
other element of it is you have to create multiple avenues of learning, okay? Now when I say learning, it could be anything on the earth. So today I wanted to do an MBA and I have picked up a particular a domain that, okay, this is the area I want to expertise in, but that changes every 3 months. Today I've seen a vision for myself. 3 months down the line I might have deviated and I have moved my target, right? So that kind of an environment, and that's why, I mean, if for an example, if you look at any of these learning subscriptions, it has a 360-degree view. You can pick up anything, everything, whatever direction you want to move to, right? And that gives the dynamicity, okay? Another strong aspect which I want to bring it to this platform and to the viewers and to you guys is I have taken a very strong shift for myself, moving from HR to HR tech now. So I am a hardcore, you can say now a techie, where
Okay.
I have a team of developers, I have a team of testers, I have a team of coders, business analysts, DevOps guys who work for me. Now, this is an extended interest because I also had a flair towards technology. And now at this point in time in my current setup, I'm more known for the technology and less known for the HR. Now, it has given me a very different kick because I had a very limited, probably understanding of the technology, but I had a flair, and with AI and lot of other things, it has given me a different edge to deep dive down into the root, then get myself upskilled and other things. So at this point in time, any of the technology product for any department in the office in the organization is needed to be developed or fine-tuned or refined or new to come or even integrating with any other outside products, it passes through my desk. So where from the HR BP side, now I understood the business, I understood the process, I understood the people. Now I am able to justify that, okay, now when you bring in this particular product, how does it justify with the product, with the existing setup? How do I train people, right? Because now I know the pulse of it. Now I know where people will be restricting themselves to adopt, where I am going to see more, most of the pushback from which team where, right? So I'm in a better place to analyze such things, and I am thankful to the organization that they have identified that skill in me and then probably placed me to a point where I'm able to do the justice to a larger portfolio.
So, as you said that you have transitioned from a mere HR guy to an HR tech guy, but you are also a strategic partner as well.
Yes.
That is also one of your roles. So, my lead up question would be working with leadership teams. Has HR function become more data driven with the onset of AI, or do instincts still play a big role? So, what has been your experience?
See, HR is always about data because one way when you execute on a day to day basis, you are actually building a huge database of every movement of every employee life cycle. Okay, and every day you have X people joining, X people moving. So, month on month, that data is growing, right? AI definitely gives a stronger edge to, I would say, give an extended arm to our strategy bone because analyzing such data was something whatever I could think of is what I used to look for the data, formulate it, then coming to a point, and then so at times I will not deny the fact that, but as a human we are biased. I
Yes.
might have looked at, okay, this data is driving me this side, and this is my observation. Now, whatever I have understood, I will surround all my data and presentation around what I have decided to communicate. Okay. Whereas I might have overlooked various other quotient which AI is giving me now. While I drive in the similar direction that this is the direction I want this data or the consolidation of this data bank, give me a output like this. But AI gives me other prospect as well. So
Yeah.
now I'm able to see those which I was never been able to see.
Employee tracking has recently become a very big issue, especially with the advent of AI. I mean, Meta being the recent example, it is in some hot soup over tracking their employees very closely. So, how do you take care of psychological safety of the employees? How do you make them feel supported but not watched?
See, I'm sure all the organizations right now, the way things are moving, securing the data safety, security, every organization is tracking. They all have their level of security parameters, policy in place. Even tracking the employees as well, even tracking the employee moves as well, mouse clicks and everything.
Yeah.
But how much is too much is what you have to decide. Okay. Now, assuming I've been tracking all your moves, okay, but I'm not been talking to you on those lines. The moment I see something different than the regular approach, I will analyze. Okay, so how I started doing in my previous organizations is analyzing the data. But let's suppose I'm going to give you an example. So there was one team where the stress quotient of the every member of the team have been coming in high. Okay, and we've been monitoring it from back end. So the first step is I went and approached the leader of the department saying, "Hey, hope everything is fine. I see a lot of people in your team being too stressed out. So, is there anything specific you are doing, or is it a creative? So then, the truth comes out saying, we have a very strong delivery upcoming, and I have built that equation where I wanted everyone to deliver at the capacity of 150%. But they've also been told that the moment we do this delivery, I'm gonna ease out and give you a flexible time. Okay. Now, at this stage, I need not take any action because those are known. But what I could do is I can create more avenues where this team doesn't feel stressed out. Maybe a quick 15 minutes timeout, or maybe setting up something at the cafeteria for them, something like that, which eases them out and which gives them the comfort zone that company is thinking about it. Now, I have the data, I have the quotient. I know who is too burnt out and could be a exit, but I'm just taking action without even talking about that subject to the person. Okay, so that is where the retention and things and stuff are working. But when I said how much is too much, it is us who has to decide. So I'm okay with say 100% of adherence. I'm okay to have deviation of 20%, but the moment it reaches 130%, I need to take an action. So when it touches the 130%, then I will look at the delta of those 10%, and then I will take action, or maybe set some parameters where I communicate the point which I want to communicate as an HR, as a leader, and then bring them to accepted parameter, right? So those are the fair balances which is happening. Yes, if you ask me, organization can track it, but do not make a noise around it that okay, we are tracking. And that puts the person as he say, today when you come out of the house, I'm sure there could be 100 places where you've been captured in the camera. You also know that you've been getting captured in the camera, but
True.
because no one talks about it, no one says it, you're comfortable, you're okay with it. You're aware that when you get into the mall, you've been captured. When you're at the parking lot, you've been captured. When you enter the office, you've been captured, right? So, but when no one talks about it, it's fine. It's okay. You just do a disclaimer in the one of the signing paper that this is what the setup is, and you're done.
True. Yeah, so there has to be a threshold. If
Yeah.
that threshold is reached, obviously you take cognizance of whatever is happening.
So there is a very strong saying which I used to do in my career, which I still do, and this is very well known in the fraternity that if Abhishek is there. So it's like there is a use, then there is a misuse, and then there is a abuse. So when any opportunity policy processes system reaches the abuse level, that's where you need to chip in.
Yes, wonderfully said. Abhishek, moving on to workforce planning, as I know, even that has been one of your fortes.
Yeah.
So, when it comes to predicting future skills, have you seen AI predicting future skills accurately? What has been your experience? Has it been reliable so far?
See, if you ask me specifically, I have not given much attention to this, though
Oh,
it exists, but it doesn't impact me in either ways because right now, the way organizations are looking at hiring people, right, it is more about learning capability than having the skills. So right now, the all the hiring, I would say, which is happening is purely based on how the individual professional is. Will this person be fit into my work culture? Will this person be a multitasking personality? And will this person be adaptable? Because I understand there are certain skills which are niche in nature you want to have. So that could be say 30% right now. At this point in time, that quotient has come down to 20 to 30% only because you cannot get an exact match for any role. Okay, over a period of time people develop, build, and have their own style of delivering the task, and that is what has been there in the industry. Technology front, I personally feel all your coding, designing, everything which used to be a primary bread and butter in past is right now at just a click away. So if I had to build a website, it was a 6 month to a year project, and then collaboration with multiple team, gathering the information and things and stuff. and then marketing, lot of things.
Yeah, so speaking of websites, I know that HR metrics and impact is one of your strong suits.
Yeah.
So I'm sure this is one function, HR metrics, where AI has made its most impact, right? With so much data available now, what is that one metric that you trust the most when it comes to judging success of a candidate?
So there's a bit of a backdrop. So we were struggling to get people on board. This was a product development company for healthcare, and we were needing very specific people. Now, I had a pressure that Abhishek, we are delaying or we are not getting the right people on board. So I presented a plan of internship. Now, initially, it was kind of a pushback that we will end up spending a lot of time. Interns will not stay. We may end up spending a half year or a year with them, and then they will move out in 2 years. Somehow, I was able to win their heart and said, "We will do it differently." They said, "What differently?" I said, "See, logically, I know, going with just hand bunch of 5 people, hitting the crowd of 5,000 plus people at the college, you can never do justice. You can never do justice. There will always be a time where good candidate or good thought process based guy will miss out on from your radar. So I'm gonna have a strategic approach to it. So there were a couple of things. Now this is a study, probably it's a trade secret which is coming out of this discussion. So what I did is first I understood the level of technology we would need. Then I looked at people who could not get selected at the campus. Okay, and I'll tell you the reason why each one of these were my primary criteria. And the third quotient was on the institute. I looked at the institute who were training on such technology, gave them prerequisite that here is the kind of product we have. So when you train these people, when you make them learn to such an extent, add them in these quotient as well. Okay, so try to include these thing in your curriculum itself. So now I was tapping into a very selective crowd who are specifically designed for us. Okay. Two, the people who could not get selected at the campus have a fire on their belly, an extreme pressure from the surroundings that see your friend has got a job and you are still struggling. Okay, so I wanted to tap that fire, that energy where this guy is holding the horses, that now I have had grams, give me an open battlefield so that I can run openly, right? So that was the kind of approach I had, and believe me, when these guys came on board they did wonders. But there was a lot of back end work I did internally within the organization. So my rules were pretty simple. No feedback is going to be generic. It has to have a very specific, precise feedback, weekly basis. Plus, no one is gonna teach them policy, processes, and rules. I want to tap the innovation of those guys, because innovation is the lifeblood. The moment it stops in the organization, your growth, you are
Yeah.
actually killing your growth. Okay, so I wanted to tap that. And every week they were given new targets, new deliverables, which they do every week. End of the day, they will connect with the mentor so that mentor gives them direction if they are moving into a different direction. And they have to present every Friday what they have done. And based on this work, there was a very precise feedback was given, and it did wonders. After 2 batches, I started getting requests from overseas, my UK office, my US office, that Abhishek, this batch is doing good. We have absorbed almost 80% of your batch one. Can you keep this engine running? So we started doing 15 days one batch. Another element was I wasn't scared of rejection, because candidate came and then you look at a typical recruitment matrices where what is your hit ratio, how many people interviewed versus what is the timeline versus how many onboarded. Okay, I was not giving much attention to it because my idea was to give the quality. So when I looked at the stats, each intern hired was an outcome of 250 to 300 interviews. It was that heavy because As an organization, I didn't want it to get someone on board and then say you don't meet the requirement. Okay, so I can as well be clear today as much as possible because I know the other side of the world. Okay, so that was a core thing, and then we started giving people to QA, we started giving people to development, we started giving people to DevOps, multiple things, and it did wonders.
So, speaking of hiring, there's one thing that has plagued hiring as of recently is bias in the AI, right? So that has been
Absolutely.
spoken about a lot. So when AI systems start making biased decisions, who do you place the final blame on? Is it the system or is it the people using it?
I would say no one, because there are two sides of the coin. Now, assume that I am hiring, I have put my prerequisites in the AI, okay?
Yes.
And system is filtering based on what prerequisites I have given, okay? Now, the common thing around this is my job description,
Yeah.
right? Job description is seen by the candidate, job description is seen by us, and based on that, the filtration is happening. Now, what candidate sees is a job description and matches the resume with the AI and applies for it. Okay. Whereas, as an organization, I have given prerequisite that this is how my JD looks like, but these are my non-negotiable, which doesn't get published. Okay. Now, when candidate applies for it, the filtration is based on my non-negotiable. Now, those non-negotiables are coming from the system, from the organization, from the culture, from the kind of deliveries we have, right? So, and those are not out in the market because not seen. So, not many people know seen that side of a mirror. That is where the difference come in. So, when I apply for it, I will end up saying that I have applied to 50 odd openings every day, but I'm not getting a reward. But if you look at on the other side, earlier it used to be one resume, you filter it, you showcase what exactly you have done. Today, that level of line of filtration is so diluted that you don't know what exactly the personality sitting behind the resume, right? So for every JD, you have a one resume. When you dilute the process to such an extent, you will also have rejections to that extent as well. Okay, that you don't see. Earlier, if you have to apply for a resume, it used to take almost half an hour to 45 minutes to apply. Today, that apply is easy apply, click away, tuck, done. Okay, so there is no hard work. Hard work pays back. So when you don't do the hard work, you get the result also tuck, right? So I will not say that the criterias have changed, but the mode has changed. And same way, AI is doing justice to hiring because I'm giving my prerequisite that this is exactly I want. I am non-negotiable on this. Now, for someone who is sitting out of the window, sitting in the system and just say apply, 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 and of course the Gen Z or the Gen Alpha says too much of work, wherein they just did 50 clicks, right? So I'm not saying that it is a bad approach, but that is how the structure has happened. Eventually, we all will have to accept the ground reality. It may get much tougher, it may get much softer, because right now, to be very frank, when I look at it, when I interview people, I don't look at the skill aspect of it much. My main aspect to evaluate is whether this person will be a cultural fit to the system and adaptable and learning capability. That's it, because rest all we can train. You were never a leader, I was never a leader. We became a leader through the journey what we did in past, right? So that's my approach to it.
Fantastic. Very wonderfully articulated, Abhishek. I mean, you gave an encyclopedic response to this question. So, so before you go, one last question. That one advice you would like to give to young professionals who are looking to make HR their profession?
Don't deny the fact that AI is gonna stay. Take it as an extended arm. Enhance your knowledge. Enhance. I mean, today We are at a point that we can analyze what area of expertise we do not have. Use AI as a arm and amenities for you to upskill you. Second, hard work. So,
Yeah.
like when you want to reduce weight, exercise is only way, right? Your diet, doing this, doing that is only the quote on the top, but the ground rule is exercise, right? And by saying that, I mean is hard work. So get to depth of the subject. Today's generation, right now, they are only at the top. They just want to touch the subject and move to the next, which should not be the case. You know the subject in depth. Probably you identify what area excites you, what area of interest you have, and then you deep dive into it, because niche area will always be on demand.
That brings an end to a wonderful and insightful conversation with Abhishek Jar. Abhishek, thank you so much for your valuable time.
Thank you so much, Ajay. You've been a great host.
Thank you for listening to us today at ValueMatrix TV, where we unravel the world of HR as it develops. Goodbye.